We have a guest today. One was waxing poetic about Samantha Rogers and what she accomplished at McGill. Samantha, welcome to Footy Prime, VP of Philanthropy for Canada Soccer. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Love your set.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's a nice. You got the angles.
Have to look forward of you, Forrest.
Yeah. See, Craig, you see that? Craig, see that as a set? It's decent, isn't it?
I know. I'll come over to Samantha's place.
No.
Okay, Samantha. So listen, the Canada Soccer Foundation, Canada Rising, Canada Red, basically all philanthropy as a means to raise funds for Canada Soccer. Are you surprised by the response within Canada so far?
I think it's so exciting for sure. I don't want to say I'm surprised, but sport philanthropy is still so new in Canada. So I think it's been really incredible to see the uptick for sure, and how Canadians have come together and supported soccer in the country. So that's been really fun to watch in such a short amount of time too, which has been incredible. Yeah,
you mentioned that because I look back to the John Herdman time and raising money, and it was like, okay, is this the world we're living in now? We used to sort of sit back and wait for our governments to just sort of help out, and never would. We would think, not in our opinion anyway. And is this something that is going to be continued? And how important is it for our programs to raise money these days, as opposed to the way it used to be with basically nothing?
Right, and I think it's been easy to look at other countries too in what they do. And so if you look at someone similar to us in Australia, they have in the past few years actually started shifting where the government is starting to look at them and say, if you're not going to generate your own revenue, we can't just keep giving you taxpayer dollars. So you have to be able to prove that you can do it yourself with all revenue streams, not just philanthropy, of course. But what I find really interesting with them is they have a model there with an Australian sports foundation, and they're on track to raise about 100 million just this year.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
For a second. There we go. Yeah, no, that's enormous. I mean, that's a game changer. And obviously we're not quite there yet, but the goals that you've set for 2026 and beyond, would you say you're well on the way to reaching those goals?
Yes. So our goal is to raise 25 million. Canada Rising is our philanthropic campaign to raise 25 million by the end of 2027. And we have just hit the 15 million mark, which is really, really very exciting. And it's almost overwhelming to see the support that we've had.
Your VP of Philanthropy at Canada Soccer, did that exist before Kevin Blue came in, and how did you get about moving into this position? And just FYI, before you came on, I told everyone out there in podcast land about how well you did at McGill. So some of those parallels from McGill now over to Canada Soccer, can you describe some of them and how you're getting over the challenges?
For sure. So I think and thank you, Wonger, for saying that. But when I was at McGill, that was really new, right? And so even a lot of the athletic departments at our Canadian universities weren't even really looking to raise funds. It wasn't something that was maybe as prestigious as other departments like medicine or business and things like that. So, but when you look at the passion and the support that lives within athletics, it's really easy to bring people together. And so a lot of it was really about establishing a base where we know people are passionate about whichever sport. This is at McGill, of course. So we know people are passionate about a sport. We know people are passionate about their time there, their teammates, their community, all of the experiences that they got out of sports. So how do we harness that? And whether it's people giving back $50 or giving back their time, because we know sport is really built on the backs of volunteers, but no matter what way we look at it, there's always a different way to give back. So really it was just about harnessing that all and bringing it together. And so when I left McGill, I ended up working with a number of different federations, trying to build a similar platform where it's like, hey, you have this incredible community and people are really passionate about it. So how do we turn that into like a really single impact area that we can actually build some sustainability into the sport? And so now seeing that at soccer, it's been really quite fun to try to establish that. I always look to our neighbors to the south, US Soccer, and the way that they've built out their foundation, and they have someone in a similar role as mine. And we talk a lot because it's a very unique role to be in the football space, obviously, especially at a time like right now. But it's been a really fun challenge, and I really enjoy working with people in this space in the community. And I always say I have the privilege of meeting all these incredible people who are just looking to make an impact, and my job is to help them make that impact in whichever way they see fit.
Sam, I got to see you in Montreal when our men's national team was playing Australia at Stade Saputo, and you just talked about our neighbors to the south in the US, and they've always done this in a really innovative way, and we seem to be late to the party in that regard. But you visited the US, and like, how do you tap into that experiential aspect of it, where you give people the kind of lived experience right up close to the pitch, on the pitch with the armbands and all that sort of stuff, with the wristbands, the accessibility to the players? Like, that's the Canada Red experience that I think we're just new to. So how do you grow that? And like, what was that experience like, kind of tailing your US counterparts and like what they've leveraged so far in the way that they're fundraising?
Right. So it's funny you say that. Even when I was at McGill, it's really when I started to get a peek behind the curtain at just college athletics in the US and what they do in terms of bringing people behind the ropes and giving them the experience you just mentioned. And so it was a natural fit, of course, with Canada Soccer was calling US Soccer and saying, hey, do you mind if we come down and shadow you? And they are completely open to it. So they say, steal any ideas that we have. Let's share, let's learn from each other. We're not, we're competitors on the pitch, but we're not competitors in the work that we're trying to do here. So we went down to Columbus just to really see exactly how they put that on and be able to learn from them in different ways of how do we bring people in. It's really important for us to also show everyone that's behind the team. So not just the players and the coaches, but who is all of the staff that's making things go round, and how do we, let people have some insight into Spencer, our equipment guy, and what he does and his passion, and making sure that everyone is prepared, right? And in communications, and what are all the different sort of background things that we sort of take advantage of on a day-by-day basis, but we know that a lot of people are really interested in joining that journey with us and being there and having that exposure. And I think what's really important with what we're trying to do is create access, opportunity, and excellence. So how do we bring everyone along with us for that opportunity as well?
The alumni, Samantha, is something that's been sort of talked about behind the scenes, putting that together for Canada Soccer. What role do you see that playing, and how can they better the situation for you and make things easier? And how can they affect things in a more positive way moving forward?
Right. Well, using Wonger as an example, he was one of my favorite alumni from McGill. But
You're off to a poor start. That's a terrible example.
It's that bad, huh?
Wonger was there from day one, and we had a lot of work to do. So I think, to your point, Craig, there's so much opportunity, and our alumni, I think, are the stewards of the game. You hold a history. And so how do we bring that along, and how do we bring that back in and collaborate more? I think what's been really nice to see is having alumni involved in a number of different things, whether it's looking at hiring new coaches, some of the work that we've been trying to do on the ground, making sure that our current players know all of our alumni. So just when the men's team were in Toronto, Jesse had an open training session for all the alumni to come back. So I think whatever opportunity it looks like, sport welcomes alumni in so many different ways. So being able to be on the sidelines, supporting us, giving back, working collaboratively, and just trying to build those relationships as we go is what's really important.
The Canada Red program, which is essentially the fans' opportunity to kind of give back, has that had a great response, a good response? Do you expect an uptick once the new year turns into that World Cup year?
I think we've just crossed the 2 million mark last week, which was really, really incredible to see. As we move forward, what I really hope is that people don't see this just as a World Cup opportunity, that it's really something that is long term and it's meant to impact the sport and it's meant to grow the sport. And so for us, our responsibility is to ensure that people understand the impact that it's having. I think people, no matter what level they choose that works for them, I think there's also a sense of pride in knowing that the funds are going back to one of our 3 impact pillars. And so it's really important for us to be able to show them what that means and what that impact has had. And I think so long as we keep showing that impact and bringing them along for the ride and welcoming them into everything, I think there is something there to said about wanting to be a part of that sustainable model moving forward. And hopefully it continues to grow as we go, and as we go into the Women's World Cup in 2027 as well. And so that's just something, it's been a really a great opportunity to have this runway for us to jump into this and want to keep that moving forward.
So using the World Cup next year as the big leverage for this moving forward. But the minute that final is played on July 19th, do you just switch your gears to the Women's World Cup in 2027? That's the new lever you're going to use?
Yes, but it's also, Canada Red is meant to mimic almost like an annual fund. And so ideally it's this annual membership that you continue to contribute. And so even in non-World Cup years, hopefully that there's still enough interest and that we deliver enough value and you see enough impact that even on those non-World Cup years that you would still be involved with the program.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Sam. What is the difference? And I just want to get things clear. What's the difference between Canada Rising and Canada Red and whatever Canada? No, but Canada Red and Canada Rising.
Yes.
What are they?
So Canada Rising is really just our rallying cry. It's our foundation brand spot around this philanthropic campaign. And so typically in the philanthropic space, you'll launch a campaign and a campaign has a theme and a title. And so Canada Rising is our $25 million philanthropic campaign. And that's brought in, support through the foundation, support through Canada Red. So it encompasses everything that we're trying to do from a philanthropic standpoint.
Okay.
I was going to ask how you convince Canadians, where I think sport usually takes a back seat to a lot of things. And Craigor mentioned like the fact that the government doesn't really back sport as much. And so now we're turning to kind of private citizens and trying to lean on Canadians to back it in that sense. So how do you convince like rich citizens, but also everyday Canadians that sport is a cause worthy of support?
My favorite cause. So it's a tough sell because I just don't think, in my experience, people have always thought and assumed, oh, well, athletes are rich. So, you're overflowing with money. Nobody needs money. The system is perfect. And they don't necessarily look at the different opportunities that exist. And so it was always strange to me that you can support your local museum, your local church, whatever your local community program, but you can't support a local soccer club. It doesn't make sense in that same way. But I think a lot of it comes down to the education. And our first big hurdle was actually educating people that you can contribute to sport, you can contribute to Canada Soccer and actually get a tax receipt. It is a philanthropic contribution. That was the first big hurdle of ours. But then once we got there, then it was actually understanding the impact. So then where does all of that money go and how do we actually grow it? What I said earlier, is that I have the privilege of sort of seeing behind the scenes these different individuals that come along, whether it's a $2 million donation because they're just really passionate about fixing something in the sport, or it's a $50 donation because that actually does matter. And people don't think that matters, but $50 buys a ball. Like we actually can move the needle with a small contribution. And so I would never want anyone to think that, it's just sort of a needle in a haystack and it doesn't actually move the dial, but it really does. And I think collaboratively to see Canadians come together and wanting to move that forward has been really inspirational. But a lot of it is just talking. I think we've had donors who have come forward, even just from the behind the scenes tour, and they're sort of putting things together and understanding, oh, okay, all of this goes into making us a successful program. So where can I contribute? Or, they'll pick something up that Jesse said where, well, how come the guys couldn't have a camp because they don't have the money? So how much does a camp cost? Like, how do we actually move that along and where can I contribute? So there is that level of sophistication too from donors that just pick up on things that becomes of interest of them, and then just saying, okay, how do I solve that for you?
Obviously, with the ticket pricing controversy, a lot of people don't quite understand that is out of Canada Soccer's hands. They don't really have much say in that at all. But has there been pushback to you when you promote Canada Red, for example, and the opportunity to get tickets through that program, and then the pricing therefore?
Right. We certainly have a lot of inbound on tickets. And I think, some people were not fully understanding the process of how it works. And so, of course, you can join Canada Red for free, and there will be tickets available in that tier. But then, of course, it changes the game, right? Once you make it through, and then you see what the ticket prices are, which we have nothing to do with, and we have no control over. And I think it will price certain people out. I think for us, what we're trying to do is ensure that there's enough opportunities around the World Cup that people still feel like they're included. And so whether it's watch parties, community initiatives, support through our Club Plus program, like whatever we can do from a federation to be able to provide as much opportunity and for our clubs and our community to take advantage of the World Cup where we can.
Does the Toronto organizing committee and Vancouver do they work independently from each other, or do they work together?
I think it seems that they work independently and then with FIFA Canada. And so I think between the three of them, and then of course with us brought in, and I think that also lends a bit of confusion because not everybody can decipher the difference between FIFA Canada, FIFA Vancouver, FIFA Toronto, and Canada Soccer, which fair enough, there's a lot of us. But I think we all have a different role to play. And so for us, it's also, our responsibility to work collaboratively with them to make something really impactful and have a legacy in Canada.
So there's actually 4 different entities: FIFA Canada, FIFA Toronto Organizing Committee, FIFA Vancouver Organizing Committee, and obviously Canada Soccer.
Yes.
Fuck, that's a lot. I want people to understand, if I'm figuring this out right now, there are people across this country who want to get involved. They don't know who to blame when something goes wrong. They don't know who to say what a great critique that is when something goes right. And I think that's an important part of moving forward is accountability and, knowing what you're accountable for. And yesterday, Sam, you were on CTV's morning show.
I was.
And how is your media appearance? Because I would say this is a big step from CTV to go into Footy Prime. Who do you like better?
It's a little bit different, isn't it?
I'm a background person, so this is, I have been pushed to the front for some of this, but this I certainly feel more comfortable and at ease with you guys rather than being on live television at 7 a.m.
I think on your story on Instagram, you said doing things that challenge me, doing things that I'm scared shitless to do. And you did it, and you did great. It was a great appearance.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. But yes, I'm a background person. Being out there having to talk about things is not my forte, but I do think it's really, for me, the passion is about sharing sport philanthropy. And so any opportunity to be able to have that conversation is really important. But Wonger, to your point, yes, it is very confusing. I think, and I think it's just by way, look at what the US is dealing with as well. Like with all of their host cities, plus they have US Soccer, plus they have the Soccer Forward Foundation, plus they have a US Soccer Foundation. So there's a number of different groups. But I think at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to be around for the long term, and we're the ones that are going to be delivering impact as best as we can. And so, but yes, I would agree. There are a number of different entities for sure.
I think if you want to blame anyone for anything, FIFA is always a good target. Right? Generally speaking, they don't care either, right? They're just like Teflon, just say what you want. I'm curious though, Samantha, given your experience in philanthropy, say you had a podcast, right, that was desperate for sponsors and you're sick and tired of doing it 4 times a week for free. Would philanthropy be an angle that maybe you'd look into?
You could always.
Family.
You could. Well, Wonger and I have talked about this a lot, so I think you could. Why not?
How do we start?
You got any spare time?
Yeah.
Could Footy Prime be your fourth pillar?
Yeah, exactly. We are available to.
Oh, there's an idea. There's an idea. I think there's something to be said there.
I think so. Well, listen, it's, as you said, been a great success so far, and let's hope it continues through this World Cup. I think things are changing in this
I think
country.
things are changing, and I appreciate your support. You all have been very supportive of what we're trying to do, so that's been really incredible.
Well, we look forward to getting the tickets in the mail. Because as mentioned, we can't afford to buy them. Anyway,
Who can?
Well,
There
one
is
can.
Canada Red you can sign up for.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
There
Well,
you
I mean, as mentioned, Wonga as one of the largest contributors to McGill's.
Oh no, not the largest contributor.
Oh no,
Time,
you're not.
time and mouth time. Yeah.
Okay, enough time. Maybe get some money for Wonga so we can buy some new glasses. Anyway, Samantha, thanks so much for this.
Well, thank you
Really
for having
enjoyed it.
me.
And you're like a seasoned pro. You're great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
really
Sam.
good. Thanks, Samantha. Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much
Sam,
for
for
having me.
coming
We'll see you guys soon. Take care.
I know.
Bye.
That was interesting. Samantha Rogers, VP of Canada Soccer's Philanthropy division, whatever you want to call it. But we had Kevin Blue on the show when he first arrived, and one of the first things he said to us was, we've got to raise money for this organization, and this is a way we're going to do it. And he's come through with his word so far, and hopefully it continues. I mean, there seems to be an appetite, I think, in this country. It seems they've raised $2 million through Canada Red, more than that through the whole foundation. I wonder. I mean, didn't get a chance to ask, but corporate Canada clearly is beginning to take notice. It seems, and when Australia, a country so similar to us in so many ways, is raising what was 100 million, she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, potential's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
funny.
think, in my
Go
opinion, the Australian public are more aligned, I think, than into sports in Canada. In my opinion.
Yeah, and while we were having a bottle of wine, Mark Schwartzer, Craig Paloma, and I, and John Catliff, we were talking about
Paloma. That's who's
Paloma is Mark's wife.
That's right. Sorry, we no one knows that. So
yeah. So,
How
but
long
it
will
will
the name
continue.
dropping continue?
then
Yeah,
Gianni
it'll
stepped
continue.
by.
2
It'll
weeks?
continue. But
That's the only one you knew.
It's out of control.
Yeah. Dunga, Kaka, Cafu. He doesn't know who the fuck they are.
I just high-fived everybody as I got on the bus.
Hello,
He did.
rude.
He did.
Yes, rude. Who's he talking? I think he's
How
talking to you.
rude.
But we did talk about Mark sits on a committee that moves things forward, and they get to kind of what they're setting up with alumni in Canada. And so when Sam talks about modeling after certain successful countries, the move in Australia from when they hosted the 2000 Olympics has had some. They invested at that point, but it's had a lot of roots and wings, and it's something that if we put in place now in Canada, whether at a university level or a federation level for sports, we get to see how it affects our country in a positive way, instead of just sitting around thinking, hey, why are they not funding us? Well, you have to self-fund sometimes. And from there, you get investment based off of your, hopefully, Footy Prime legacy.
What is our legacy?
Well, we don't know yet. We're figuring it out.